In the heart of Washington, D.C., lived Alexander Cross, a man draped in wealth, charm, and secrets. His mansion towered above the city like a silent monument to his success. People adored him for his charity galas, his dazzling smile, and the way he seemed untouchable. But no one knew how he became a millionaire. At first, the whispers were playful, guesses about lucky investments or inherited wealth. But the truth was far darker. Those closest to him spoke of a room in his mansion, locked at all times. A room no one was ever allowed to enter. Some nights, blacked-out vans arrived at his gate. The drivers never spoke. The visits lasted hours. One neighbor claimed to hear strange mechanical humming from the mansion at 3 a.m., followed by muffled cries. A gardener who worked for Alexander vanished without a trace. The police report was brief, almost reluctant. One evening, a local journalist received an unmarked envelope. Inside was a single photograph. Alexander shaking hands with a man on the FBI's most wanted list. Digging deeper, the journalist found Alexander's businesses were ghost companies, existing only on paper. The addresses led to abandoned buildings, their doors chained shut. Financial transactions revealed millions flowing in and out through offshore accounts, leaving no trace of their true origin. Every record seemed designed to vanish just when the truth got too close. Then, unexpectedly, Alexander invited the journalist to his mansion. "Ask me anything," he said, with a smile too calm to be innocent. The invitation felt less like an act of openness and more like a challenge. As the journalist stepped into the marble-floored foyer, the air seemed heavier, laced with the faint scent of expensive cologne and something metallic. Alexander's eyes followed every movement, as though he already knew which questions would be asked and which answers would never leave the house. He showed every lavish room, the library, the wine cellar, but never the locked one. "How did you make your fortune?" the journalist asked. Alexander's smile vanished, just for a moment. His fingers tapped lightly against the armrest of his chair, a sound echoing in the vast, silent room. A flicker of something, anger, fear, or perhaps calculation, passed through his eyes. Then, just as quickly, the charming grin returned, but it no longer felt warm. It felt rehearsed. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you," he murmured, his voice low enough to make the journalist lean in. "Some truths," he said, "aren't meant for the living." Then he offered the journalist a large sum to walk away. The briefcase landed on the table with a heavy thud, its clasps snapping open to reveal stacks of crisp bills. The soft rustle of money filled the air, mingling with the faint hum of the chandelier above. Alexander leaned forward, his voice almost a whisper. "Take it and forget you ever came here. Curiosity is expensive. Survival is priceless." That night, the journalist returned. He broke into the mansion, drawn to the locked room. The corridors were eerily silent, the ticking of a distant clock the only sound guiding his steps. Moonlight spilled through tall windows, casting long, twisted shadows along the marble floor. Every creak of the wooden staircase felt deafening, every breath a risk. When he reached the ornate door, the keyhole glinted faintly in the dark, like an unblinking eye daring him to open it. Inside were cages, dozens of them, some empty, some not. The air was damp and heavy, carrying the sharp scent of rust and something far worse. Chains rattled faintly, though no one moved. A pair of eyes gleamed from the darkness of one cage, wide and pleading, as if begging for silence. Others sat motionless in the shadows, their faces pale, their hope long extinguished. On the far wall, tally marks scratched into stone told stories of days, months, maybe even years. On a desk lay a ledger, names, dates, and payments in millions. It was a record of human lives, bought and sold. Each page carried the weight of countless vanished souls, their identities reduced to numbers and ink. Some names were crossed out violently, leaving streaks of crimson stains across the paper. Others were circled, as if marked for something yet to come. The margins held cryptic notes, strange symbols, and arrows pointing to offshore accounts. It wasn't business. It was a marketplace of despair, hidden in plain sight. Footsteps echoed in the hall. Alexander was home. The sound was slow, deliberate, each step striking the silence like a countdown. The journalist's pulse quickened, his breath shallow as he clutched the ledger to his chest. The golden glow from under the door grew brighter with every approaching step. Then came the sound of keys metal scraping against metal as Alexander paused outside the room. For a brief moment, the journalist thought of running, but his legs refused to move. "Curiosity," Alexander said, stepping into the room, "is the most dangerous luxury." His silhouette filled the doorway, backlit by the warm glow of the hallway. The words rolled off his tongue smoothly, like a practiced line he had spoken many times before. He took a step closer, the polished leather of his shoes clicking against the cold floor. "You came looking for answers," he continued, his voice calm, almost gentle, but answers demand a price. His eyes locked onto the ledger in the journalist's trembling hands. "And you've just taken something," he whispered. "That was never yours to see." The journalist ran, heart pounding, as Alexander's voice followed him. "You know too much." The mansion's corridors twisted endlessly, every hallway looking the same in the dim light. Shadows stretched like grasping hands across the marble floor, threatening to pull him back. Behind him, Alexander's footsteps were steady, not hurried, not panicked, just certain, like a predator stalking prey. The journalist's lungs burned, his grip on the ledger slick with sweat. Somewhere in the distance, a door creaked open. Or was it a trap, waiting for him to fall inside? Outside, the black van waited, not to help, but to finish the story. Its headlights cut through the fog like two unblinking eyes, fixed on the mansion's door. The engine purred softly, steady and patient, as if it had been expecting him all along. Shadows shifted inside the van, figures moving with rehearsed precision. One door slid open with a metallic scrape, breaking the night's silence. The journalist froze on the steps, clutching the ledger, realizing too late. Escape had never been, and now, by morning, the journalist was gone. His apartment was emptied, as if he never existed. Neighbors swore they'd seen him the night before, lights burning in his office, but now even his nameplate was missing. The newspaper retracted his last story, claiming it was a printing error. All that remained was a single note, slipped under his editor's door. "Alexander cannot be exposed. They own everything." By morning, the journalist was gone. His apartment was emptied, as if he never existed. His fortune wasn't built on stocks or property. It was built on the trade no one dared to speak of. And Alexander Cross kept smiling, knowing the city would never stop loving him, no matter what he did in the dark. Subscribe to my channel for more interesting thriller short films.